Okay, here are the two 2.5 ton systems that make up the 5-ton twin system. It's a two heat pump condensers with gas backup, and also it's got wood heating capability as well. Both these condensers have been modified to do hot water heating. One of the condensers will actually heat the domestic water. The other condenser will actually heat the jacuzzi water. Alright, this is the wood heating furnace that is used for second stage, or it can just be switched over to when you build a fire in the stove. It'll just automatically take over. As you can see, we've got a fire in here, and the draft inducer motor here, and then also the draft damper control the temperature of the wood heating furnace. All the temperatures is taken right here on the supply of the wood heating furnace. It sends a signal back through to the PLC controller so that the PLC knows whether to operate heat pumps or wood furnace only. Then we're going to come back here. These are the two gas furnaces. They're in a common plenum, and they have a common plenum up above, and the furnaces can run independently, the blowers can run independently based on static pressure. This is a zone system, so when we have one or two zones calling, we don't need both blowers running. There's isolation dampers above each coil. There's temperature transmitters above each coil, so that the system can actually see the temperature coming off of each heat pump system. And if it needs to, it can actually call for gas assist on each system based on the temperature coming out into the supplier plenum. Also up above here we have the one duct here that actually heats and cools this mechanical room. And then we've also got the isolation dampers for the wood heating furnace, so that when we don't have a fire in the stove, they'll automatically close and won't be blowing cold air in through the wood furnace. And then also we've got the bypass coming from our supply plenum. It's got a motorized damper actuator, and that damper actuator is operated by a pressure transmitter. We'll show it on the other side here. We've got a digital pressure transmitter that sends a signal to the bypass, and then also sends a signal to another module which actually can stage in second stage heating and cooling based on static pressure as well. We've got the outdoor thermostat, which switches the system in heat pump mode over to gas. And we've got the two PLCs that run the system. The first PLC is the main controller for the heat pump and gas backup system. Then we have the PLC that runs the wood heating furnace. They're interlocked so that if you build a fire in the wood heating furnace, it'll automatically switch over to wood heating furnace, and then when the fire goes out, it'll automatically switch back. Then we've got the zone controller, and the zone controller is basically looking at 4 different zones coming in. And based on the zones coming in, it will call for the dampers to open up, and then of course it also sends a signal to the PLCs to tell it to come on and enable the heat and air system. Then up in this box up here we have the interface, which actually allows you to look at all the information on your computer, the temperatures of the supplier, return air, and all the zone temperatures, and do all this scheduling and the set points for all the zones. Then we've got a few little added things that I added to the system, which was when you start the wood heating furnace, you can push this button here and it will actually run through a startup sequence, which will ensure that the fire gets started. And then you have an emergency heat switch, which you can turn the gas on only if you need to run that. The system also has 2 defrost relays, so when the system goes in defrost, it sends a signal back to the PLC controller to run the gas heating at a lower temperature, and that's around 75-degree discharge air temperature. Then you have the space heating thermostat. Then I'll show you the water heating. This energy recovery unit, it's really pretty old technology. It's been around for a while. I know for at least 20 plus years. It takes hot gas off your compressor at about 160, 170 degrees, runs it into the energy recovery unit, and circulates it through a heat exchanger and heats your water. This water is going through the hot water heater, and so it runs first stage through the hot water heater if it's heating with the compressor. The second unit is going to be hooked up to a jacuzzi to heat the water on the jacuzzi. Of course, we have a hot water heater timer for the electric on there, so we don't run the hot water heater at night. And that's basically it.